Hello, welcome back to my allotment. Today I'm going to be repotting some blueberries because ever since I've had my blueberries, which has only been about a year or so, I've had 2 plants in one container because at the time, I can't remember if it was during lockdown or not, but I couldn't get hold of another container or more compost. So I just threw them in the one pot and thought that would be fine for 1 year. But now they're going to get bigger, they're going to need more space, going to need more moisture to develop more roots and more growth. So I need to separate these 2, and I'll have one in this pot and one in this rather nice new pot that I've just treated myself to. I've already gone out and bought myself some ericaceous compost. I've got a peat-free version, so that's much more environmentally friendly because peat should really remain in the ground and not dug up and dredged. So I have a peat-free ericaceous compost. That's because blueberries love acidic conditions, so this is an acidic based compost. So it's really a case of separating them and then putting one each into its own container. What I'm actually going to do first is put down a tarp or a mat underneath to catch any compost so that we're not going to be wasting any. The 2 blueberries I have in here, one is an earlier and the other is a much later fruiting variety. I can't remember right now which one's which, but one is called Azure and the other is called Pink Sapphire and is actually a pink fruiting variety. So I'm going to now just carefully tease them out and try not to disturb the roots too much. Actually, you know what? I think this is going to be better if I tip them out. So when I planted them in this barrel container, I actually used the compost bag to line the barrels to try and make it last a bit longer because it is wood, so eventually it will rot. Well, that's quite a good clump already. I don't want to take away any of the compost from the roots. I want as minimal root disturbance as possible. But now is the best time to be doing this because we're reaching the end of winter, end of their dormant period, and soon they're going to go into a lot of new growth. All of these little buds are going to burst and it will start the season again. Obviously there is a big hole in the bottom of this liner and the pot to let all the excess moisture drain away, but the roots and the compost is quite nicely damp, which shows that it's doing its job at retaining all of that moisture and preventing the wood from rotting. So now that they're both out, it's a case of deciding which one I want in which pot. And you know, I think I'm going to put this one back into the barrel because the barrel is slightly wider and this blueberry has a bit more of a wider goblet shape, whereas this one is much more upright, and also I think the red will nicely match the sort of warm tone of the pot. So I'm going to open the compost. Now I don't want to fill it up too much because there is already quite a bit of compost around the roots of this plant. Now we've got to put it back in again. Ugh. And you want the base of the plant to be at the level of the planter. We don't want it being planted too deep. And you know what, I think that will be actually quite alright. So just need to pack the sides with more compost. So now I'm just going to pack the sides down, firm it in, make sure there's plenty of compost all around those roots and there's no air pockets. Woo! Gotta be so careful of these buds. I really do love this new pot that I bought from my local garden centre. I am trying to stay away from plastic containers these days, So this was pricey, it was about £30, but it's gonna last. It looks beautiful, and my blueberry is hopefully really gonna like it. Now this pot does have large drainage holes in the bottom, and I do have a few random pieces of crocks just to try and stop the compost from sinking out of it, and I'll just cover those up loosely and then put some more compost in and do the same. I think this colour actually looks really good with this pot. Make it nice and centred. There we are. That's about the right height. So now again I'm just going to fill in the sides. Now I should really leave about an inch at the top without compost. I might just take a little bit more away for when I'm watering, but I know that this compost is going to sink a little bit anyway as it gets watered. Now when it comes to pruning blueberries, they shouldn't really need any. They look after themselves pretty well, to be honest, but if you do find anything that's damaged, diseased or dead, then you want to get rid of that. You will also want to look out for crossing branches. I can see some here that I'm going to need to see to, and there is a little bit of dead on that one as well, so only some very minor pruning, and always prune to an outward facing bud just above it when you do so. It seems a shame to get rid of this big stem, but it was going through the middle of the plant, and you want to keep quite an open goblet shape like this one already is. So that's it now. The blueberries are all ready for the new growing year. They've got lots more room, and hopefully I'll get an even bigger harvest this year. I'm not actually going to water them in because it's probably going to rain overnight, and they do say that rainwater is better for your blueberries rather than using tap water. Not that our taps have been switched on just yet anyway. Have you got any blueberries in your garden? I'd love to know which varieties you have. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.